is Kitama Cahill Jackson. Kitama Cahill Jackson comes from a family of activists and sees his role as a licensed social worker and a staff therapist at New Perspective Psychological Services as a natural extension of his family's commitment to the community, advocacy, and involvement. He received his master's in social work from Columbia University, where he entered into their specialized DBT program with behavioral tech, Marshall Linehan's Training Institute. He is passionate about making DBT responsive and accessible to communities of color as he seeks to contribute to healthy individuals, families, and communities. Kitama is adept at exploring issues pertaining to masculinity, racial identity, and trauma. Prior to becoming a therapist, he was a documentary filmmaker and journalist who worked on films such as Harry Belafonte's Sing Your Song, Stonewall Uprising, The Central Park Five, and Pete Seeger, The Power of Song. He's a member of the Board of Advisors for Rocking the Boat, a youth development organization in the South Bronx, and the Rosenberg Fund for Children, a nonprofit providing financial support to the children of political prisoners. I'd like us all to welcome Kitama to talk with us about systemic inequalities and the impact on mental health. Kitama.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm here today as a therapist, as a half Black, half white man who was really raised by a large extended family of activists who included my grandfather, Pete Seeger, who was a white man, folk singer who was involved in the civil rights movement. I'm here today to talk about systemic equality in mental health and the importance of not just looking at mental health as mental health, but the importance of digging deeper and looking at all of the systems that play a role in this. So first, what is systemic inequality? It is when a society is engineered in such a way to privilege certain groups while putting other groups at a disadvantage. So take a look at this slide. When you see equality, not everyone is given the same opportunity. And when we look at inequality, we see how some people are given tremendous amount of opportunity, while some people are held so far back, that they're literally like this child in a hole. I'd like to give you an example that's one of my favorite examples. So I want you to imagine, we're going to talk about invalidation today. I would like to imagine I hand you a lemon. You take a bite out of this lemon and you feel just like this little girl in the slide. It is so sour that your whole face looks just like hers. So sour. And I tell you, what's the matter with you? What's the matter with your taste buds that you can't even eat a lemon? Me, all my friends, my entire community, everyone I know could just pop lemons into their mouth like they're eating peanuts. So there's something wrong with you. So this child's going to go through life feeling like there's something wrong with them. That's how invalidation starts. And it makes us question ourselves. So how is this connected to mental health? Systemic inequality causes a person to feel invalidated, and this invalidation can create mental health disorders, such as depression, anxiety, or PTSD. So before I became a therapist, I was a documentary filmmaker. I'd like to share this story of how systemic oppression made a role in my life. So I was loading my car for a film shoot, like I'd done many times. I pulled up my car in front of my building, and I opened up the trunk and started loading in equipment, when suddenly a van of 8 police officers got out, surrounded me, started questioning me. Who was I? What was I doing? Where did I live? What's in my car? All of these different questions, right? And suddenly, going through my mind, I'm thinking, what did I do? I'm thinking, oh my God, I can't believe I double parked. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm leaving this late. Oh my God, what can I say? What can I do? At no point in that time am I thinking they're stopping me because I'm Black. So when you're invalidated by a system, it becomes more complicated. I saw myself as a documentary filmmaker who had double parked in front of his own building. The police saw a situation that warranted 8 police officers to come question me for 15 minutes. I also found a picture of the car that I was driving. So if I had been white, here are the things that would have been different, and these things are entirely based on the system. First, one of the reasons why that they did find in this entire situation was when they were running my license, they learned that I had a temporarily suspended license for an unpaid speeding ticket that I totally forgot to mail in. So if I had been white, I probably wouldn't have gotten that speeding ticket in the first place, and then as a result, wouldn't have had a temporarily suspended license. And I probably wouldn't have been stopped, questioned, and treated as a criminal for loading my car while double parked. I probably wouldn't have had an interaction that made me wonder if I was going to be beat up or shot. And I probably wouldn't have been told how lucky I was for not being arrested. It wasn't until preparing for this presentation, 13 years after this happened, that I learned the fine for having a suspended license is only $200 to $500, and they couldn't have arrested me for it in the first place. So how does invalidation affect you? Invalidating experiences affect everyone differently. For me, it used to make me feel anxious around police and feel that I was lucky this time and that I could have been easily hurt or arrested. My anxiety has affected my work, where I become anxious if I need to call the police in an emergency. Or when a police enters my subway car, I look down with the hopes that he will get off at the next stop. I am always concerned that the worst possible thing could happen, and I do whatever I can to make it not happen, which generally means I avoid contact. So invalidation can lead to mental health diagnoses. While invalidation caused anxiety for me, some may display symptoms of depression, such as self-isolation and feeling unworthy, while others will blame yourself and vividly remember these situations on a regular basis, which is a trauma response. So each one of these changes how we see things. And now we must figure out how to accept and validate a situation once we see kind of how it leads to mental health. First, we must accept this reality. I need to accept I did not do anything to warrant being stopped by being stopped and questioned by the police. I must accept and acknowledge the existence of my problematic thoughts and not accept them as facts. Blaming myself for being too lazy and nervous to carry my heavy, expensive equipment to my car judging myself for not leaving earlier in the day to avoid loading my car at night, and being angry at myself for forgetting to pay a speeding ticket. So once you've accepted the situation for what it is, instead of blaming myself for being too anxious and nervous, the way to actually say it, I was being cautious by not wanting my equipment to get broken or stolen by lugging it 3 blocks through Harlem late at night. It's not my fault that the police questioned me. Instead of judging myself for not leaving earlier in the day to avoid loading my car at night, I could say to myself, I was being responsible by getting to the location the night before, so I'm well rested and ready for the film shoot. Instead of being angry at myself for getting to pay a speeding ticket, I could say, and I should say, I've been so busy with work, paying that speeding ticket slipped my mind. So validation, it's easier said than done. So these are 6 steps from validation from Marsha Linehan's DBT training manual, which I work out of as a therapist. First, when you're self-validating, validating yourself, describe your experience. Describe what actually happened. What was your point of view in it? 2, accept where you were wrong. Yeah, I should have paid that parking ticket. Determine where you are correct and stand up for yourself if possible, even if it's only to yourself. While maybe I should have paid that parking ticket, I didn't do anything to deserve to be stopped and questioned by the police. Accept that being invalidated hurts and allow yourself to feel the pain. Identify the mistakes and remind you that we are all human. Have compassion for yourself. Understand why what occurred happened. I was questioned for being double parked because I was Black. Next, I would like to show you some ways that you can care for yourself in today's world. These are some things that work for me, and I encourage you to add them to your own lists. At this time, I would like to thank everyone for inviting me here, all of you coming, and most importantly, I would like to thank the people who are on the front lines for this protest. You're doing incredible, incredible work, and you're making history in a positive way. Thank you.